This is the Leadership Lifeline Online Radio, episode 84 with Patti Dolan. Welcome to the Leadership Lifeline Online Radio with your host, Steve Q. Wilshire.
Let's dive into our interview with Patti Dolan. Patti, welcome to the Leadership Lifeline Online Radio. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you.
I know you have so much to share with our listeners today, and your journey has been so interesting in my world and witnessing our conversations and, of course, your work with Audra, our co-producer. You know, you've created this environment and model to help people heal or take back their health. And I'd love to have you share more about your journey as to how your life has been impacted through this one decision to build your direct sales business and how it tied in with your interesting model, your yoga studio. Talk to us.
Well, I have to start with, I feel like I've been granted an incredible wish. I feel like I've been able to bless people's lives with the gift of wellness. And my background is a registered nurse. I actually have my master's in nursing administration. And I've been a stay-at-home mom primarily before I started Young Living for about 12 years. My boys are 13 and 16. And my husband is a CEO with a demanding job that requires tremendous travel. And my boys are athletic, so we have a lot of running. The Young Living opportunity has actually given me a lot more confidence because I feel like I'm contributing to the family's financial future. At the same time, I'm maintaining a balance to not disrupt our busy family dynamics. And Young Living, along with my Christian yoga teaching, has allowed me a lot of flexibility and freedom. And in addition to that, this is kind of my social outlet to be more active with my friends. My team has become a friendship circle for me. And I was never one that would go out with the girls. I didn't have a desire to do that. So the friendships I've made through Young Living has given me that social interaction.
That's what I noticed about our conversations is that everything that you do has to do with a purpose, and you're so plugged into your core values and how that shows up in your day-to-day experience. When was the vision birth, the defining moment that you knew you really wanted to build this team with Young Living?
Actually, 3 years ago, September, I incorporated a class on the essential oils right after I taught a yoga class. And I had 18 people attend. 16 of them enrolled that day.
Wow.
Yes. At that time, I knew it was a perfect match with my nursing and yoga background. It just all blended together. My husband and I had often toyed with the idea of starting our own business, but this allowed us to begin with no pressures of having overhead or staff. It didn't take me long to attain the level of executive. It was 2 months after I began sharing my passion for the oils. Yep. I knew that there was a wonderful future in store. It was like our prayers were answered.
Well, what an offer, right? There's so much available to them through your guidance and how you tie it into obviously wellness and yoga. You know, so often we notice that people join this industry and they experience obstacles and challenges in the beginning of their business. What were some of those for you? What were some of the fears or obstacles you experienced early on?
I had the largest fear of presenting to my friends because I was fearful. Their perception was that I only wanted to be with them or talk to them to sell my product. I was also worried about the ability to balance my business with my family. It's the yoga teacher in me. I always have to be in balance. And then I just didn't feel like I had a lot of confidence with the business itself. I never had experience with network marketing, and the essential oil products were new. I had a learning curve to conquer.
How'd you get through those? What were some of the examples of how you moved through those challenges?
I realized after a while that if I was just myself without trying to be anything different, my unique self, I wouldn't come across as pushy because I'm just not that way. I would share my stories naturally and seek out some leaders that I resonated with, primarily Young Living leaders, and learn about how they created their empires while maintaining a healthy family balance. And then I tried to pay greater attention, had more times of stillness, I listened intuitively to what my body, my mind, and my soul were telling me. When I found myself stressed or off balance, I knew I needed to shift and readjust my priorities.
I love that. It reminds me of one of my favorite models in prayer: ask,
Yeah.
get still. Yeah, ask, get still, and witness. And what happens in the meditation? Just listening, right?
Yeah.
We ask, we listen. Beautiful. We are going to be right back with Patti, and we're going to talk about what drives her to succeed. Welcome back, everybody, to the Leadership Lifeline online radio with my very yen guest, Zen. Yeah, and yen, right? I guess, right? Patti Dolan. Yeah, I guess, what is it? Yen and...
Yin and yang, is that what you were thinking?
Well, yeah, and you are yen, it just came natural. I don't use that phrase very often. It just, like I said, ask, listen, how do I best serve this client, right? Wow. Yeah, I noticed that when you were sharing that earlier, that it is all in the authenticity. When people feel like they need to sell, or they're apprehensive or question themselves, or don't feel like their self-expression is congruent with how they feel inside, it does come across inauthentic, and you said, be yourself, so going within and looking for that best, greatest mode of expression, right?
Right.
Yeah. What's your driving force, Patti? What deep down drives you to succeed? Noticing that even that word can mean so much about ego or outcome, that we define success internally through our own core values and what's important to us. Tell us more.
First of all, I have a constant need for achievement. I'm just kind of driven that way. I've always been competitive. Actually, my entire family is. We can't play a board game without being bad. So I feel good about myself when I accomplish something. And I also feel like I'm a developer. I see potential in others and want to see their growth. So this is just innate. I can see that. And when I see somebody else's growth, that brings me tremendous satisfaction. I love seeing others succeed. Externally, I have a very practical external force, and that is the ability to secure financial freedom sooner than later, to retire my husband from his extremely stressful high-level corporate position. He has a passion for coaching youth football, and I really want to see him be able to do that. I guess the final force, which is awesome, is the health that my family has maintained naturally through Young Living. It's been a wonderful motivator. So I just want to keep that healthy lifestyle going in our family.
The last thing I do before I go to bed is put my essential oils on. Well, and it's interesting how much better your sleep is, right?
Yes. Yes.
Or how much happier I feel when I wake up in the morning. Many years of that. Yeah.
Yes.
What are you most proud of? Inspire us.
Seeing my team succeed, the accomplishments, the ranks that they achieve. I just receive a lot of joy from that. Also proud of the fact that I do maintain a healthy, balanced, orderly lifestyle of faith, family, then business. I do realize if I pushed myself further, the family could suffer if I did that. I could probably be a higher rank, but to me, it's just not worth it. Taking my time with intentional balance is success to me. And the fact that I recommend the same philosophy to my team members without pushing them makes me proud.
Yeah, it is a philosophy, isn't it? Our philosophy shows up in our language, in our thoughts, in our actions. And listening to you, it's calming, it's collective, it's in service of other people. An interesting outcome and achievement. It's what you model to people. That is an achievement in itself. And so often we look at achievements as being some kind of materialistic outcome. But I hear that in your answer, that modeling and being of integrity and creating balance in your life, those are achievements that describe your philosophy. Let's talk about the job market, and especially youth. I mean, so much has changed in our world. In fact, going back just a decade or two, going to work in corporate America was the norm. And we look at how things have changed in corporate America and how we do business. There are not the same job opportunities. Why? Technology and overseas competition. And then our youth, the statistics that even Stanberry talks about, The Economist, that this bubble is happening in America. And one of those bubbles that kids are getting out of, young adults are getting out of college, and there's no jobs available for them, maybe 30%. And what is so important about having a plan B, for all of us, whether we're getting out of school or we are actually in jobs? Why does it create greater security? How does the direct sales industry support that? And then teaching our youth entrepreneur skills to take ownership of their own reality, right? What's your take on all that?
Well, I've been thinking a lot about that because of the age my boys are right now. And I feel today's youth need to be open to diverse educational experiences and absolutely have entrepreneurial skills developed. It's not like it used to be when our parents were younger. They worked for the same company forever and retire from it, and they had a nice pension and this and that. Well, things have changed. My 16-year-old son, he wants to become a medical doctor. I am encouraging him to pursue this, but at the same time, I'd like to see him begin an entrepreneurial business to supplement his income while in school and then have that residual income for several years later. And I think he can really incorporate, especially Young Living, actually, into this business, more of a natural wellness approach. My other son, he's 13. He actually had the opportunity to travel with me to the Young Living Gold Retreat this past summer. I was able to bring a guest and just casually asked him if he wanted to go. He said yes. I have to admit, I showed him a picture of the whitewater rafting that would be incorporated into it. And he
Smart.
yeah, right. And I said, and we'll leave a day early or two and we'll go ziplining. So I found this cool zipline. He said yes.
Talk about enrollment. I just have to throw that out. That is a great example of enrollment that, people that enroll, that word is so beautiful. Having passion and conviction about something you want to offer someone and then asking questions that lead them there, right? Like it's such a great example of what we do when we sponsor, right?
It's
enhancing it. I love it. Keep going. So
I was thrilled that I was able to expose him to what Young Living was all about at another level. He had a great time. We had some nice mom and son bonding time as well.
Fantastic. I love that. Wow. Yeah, it's interesting what happens in modeling is the greatest way of leveraging. We don't have to figure it out. We just model lifestyle. We model our life opportunity, especially to our children. They pick up on that. Let's talk about leadership. When you really think of attributes and characteristics that best describe a leader who leads by mission, you're all about mission, purpose, helping people. What are attributes that you feel define a leader that leads by their mission?
I feel a strong leader first needs to know what their own why is. Why are they pursuing this business? What is their own purpose and calling? A strong leader needs to tap into their own strengths to excel in their role. And as a leader, you must be trustworthy and genuinely caring. You should be in contact with your team and know them as a person, not just as a team member or a business partner or a customer. Know when their birthdays are, learn about their families, what makes them tick. Develop these strong relationships, be a servant leader, and also be a product of the product too. If they see you being a product of the product, that'll in turn have them be a product of the product. And it's just so much easier in many ways.
Well said. Nothing to add to that. That was beautiful. We're going to be right back with Patti and talk about leverage. We're going to talk about leadership activities. Stay tuned. Welcome back, everybody, to the Leadership Lifeline online radio with my profound interview with wellness expert. Yep, putting that out there. Patti Dolan. You are a wellness expert. I know that your focus is always improving your business model for your team and plugging into, we're talking about leverage, activities and resources that are available through the Young Living University. When you think about activities that are paramount for you or leaders to best support their team, what pops up for you?
There are several areas that I think about with this. First of all, I'm really focusing on personal, professional development activities. I believe all leaders need to learn more about themselves as a person. Taking personality tests and strength finding tests are helpful. Once somebody knows their strengths and personality, they can grow more as an individual. With human nature, we tend to lock into our weaknesses, and I've learned to focus more on strengths and further develop those areas. We all have many pearls or gifts to share with others. And we have monthly, more like bi-weekly, business building, team building sessions. This is a time where we find each other's gifts, but also at that time too, we do come up with duplicatable systems, keeping it simple. What's the easiest way to share our passion for young living? The end of last year, we had a vision board party to focus on our goals for the coming year, and we made it fun. Combining fun with business is, I think, very enriching for all.
When you're big on meeting their needs, individual coaching, supporting your leaders, when you think of leading a team member to a resource or an activity to best serve them and support them in areas where they maybe are weak or uneducated, help them get the outcome that they want, or even the conversation about being on the cutting edge of education. There's so many ways to communicate online and live and through many different social media platforms. What's your take on that, being on the cutting edge of education, but noticing where you're plugging in and whether that serves you in getting what you want?
Being on the cutting edge of education not only keeps you current, but also shows your team you are a promoter of education. Leading by example is imperative. It's important for your team members to see you at workshops, convention, etc. Attending national events and gifted retreats also allows you to bring back the education to your team. Lately with social media, the way it's just so explosive, I've been researching a lot more into how that can help your business. And I've been sharing that with my team members and encourage them to attend webinars and really kind of zoom in on that right now as well.
Yeah, I'm thinking of this new high-end Facebook party course that we put together in our goal program, which our leaders have access to in our leadership program. But I have a community of almost 3,000 that are plugged into this Protege Goal program, and the results that people are having just from knowing how to put together a high-end, extraordinary, over-the-top, live or a day Facebook event. And it's interesting to jump into that. We have a Facebook community for that particular course and for the Gold program, and then to notice how confused people were about that process, that it's so much more complicated than doing a live venue where you can share, because of course it's more animated and spontaneous, and you're in an environment that's more multi-sensory instead of one-dimensional. And yeah, it's finding those ideal resources. I know even that piece, thinking of the two strategists that I hired, because I never did Facebook parties going back several years, and instead of me figuring it out, I worked with two extraordinary multi-million-dollar producers that have high-end Facebook parties and put together this course. And all of that was, I thought I needed to do it. My mentor, Russell Brunson, said, why would you want to do that? You've never done that. Like, why don't you teach them how to put together an ideal course? And even improving their skills, it took us 6 months working every week on this until it reached maturity. I know mentors have changed my life. I'm even thinking about Patti Dolan right now. I don't know if I would ever started this podcast without working with her and her saying, leadership's your game, and you love sharing and networking with other leaders. Why don't you have your own podcast? It just wasn't a thought that I had. What's important to you about having mentors, and how have mentors impacted your life?
First of all, I believe you have to accept a little bit of humility and know that it's very appropriate to seek out a mentor for your own growth. In the beginning, I didn't know what I didn't know, if that makes any sense. And I struggled to find the appropriate mentor then when I realized I needed guidance. So I had to end up seeking mentors from various cross lines and network marketing professions. I think it's important to know that it's okay to do that until you find mentors you can truly resonate with. And what I love about my mentors are that they continue to challenge me toward new growth while bringing out the best in me by focusing on my God given talents and gifts.
It's so true. And you have mentors in many different facets, don't you? You have mentors with Young Living, you have faith mentors, you have mentors in yoga. You've plugged into engaging and partnering with many mentors to improve all aspects of your life, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Patti, profound interview. I really want to acknowledge you for bringing your time and talent and energy on the Leadership Lifeline online radio. And every time I talk to you, I feel so much more relaxed. It's interesting that what you bring forth and my own experience with you and how authentic and real you are. I know there are most likely listeners that are struggling or don't believe they can create an income stream in the direct sales or network marketing world that will change their life forever, or maybe don't have the support that they wish they had. Do you have any advice for them that may ease their pain and evoke possibility and hope in their pathway?
I think as long as you believe in yourself and you have the vision and know your why, anything is possible.
Find your why. Search for your why. Create a vision board, right?
Yes.
Well, what's the greatest leverage of all? Prayer. Ask. Yeah. We talked about it. Meditate. Get quiet. Get still and witness. That's usually right around us, being in the moment. It's so difficult to be in the moment sometimes with all this information coming at us. We really have to create great boundaries, be intentional. Thank you so much for being on the show. And it's my hope and prayer that this interview will change the mindset and outcome for our listeners and your organization.
Thank you so much for this opportunity and your time.
Beautiful. Everybody, make this week an incredible week. Thank you for joining us on the Leadership Lifeline online radio. Love and success.